Welcome to the Intensity Podcast. I'm your host, Hans the Hammer Hartleben. And as you guys know, this is the show of go-getters, of hustle. We have a guest on today that's actually, believe it or not, his name has been brought up with multiple guests on the Intensity Podcast, claiming he's the most intense guy they know. And I do not disagree with him. Today, we have head coach of the North Dakota State Bison, Tim Polasek, okay, coming to you from Fargo, North Dakota, okay? Now, in Tim's first 2 seasons as a head coach, he went back-to-back winning titles. This year, 12-1 overall. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, you had 17 players named all conference.
Yeah. It was a record.
And that's a record.
It was a record, and that's a record for North Dakota State. For the people, like championship DNA. But our biggest thing, like our culture and what we're going to get into today, we've only had 3 losing seasons since 1965. It's an honor and a privilege to be the head football coach here. This is a winning outfit, a winning organization. Sometimes, you get too wrapped up in outside expectations. But our expectations and our standards in-house are just immensely full of pressure, joy, and all of it. And I'm so happy to be here and be the head coach here. But, yeah, we've won 10 national titles at the FCS level and only been playoff eligible since 2010. We have 18.
And I know you're not going to mention it, and I got to jump in here because I don't want to skim over that. This is a humble guy. This is a hungry guy. But, guys, 2025 Missouri Valley Football Coach of the Year. Okay, and he wasn't going to let you know that, and that's what I'm here for. Okay, so we're not much for small talk. We're going to get right into it. And today, there's something. As many of you guys know, I run a company called Fire Fitness Camp. Fitness organization training, group training. We have about 160 coaches on average. And I'm just going to shoot you straight. My challenge is a lot of those coaches are just coming and going. They'll walk in, coach a camp, leave. There's no real hunger, no real sense of loyalty or engagement in the program, which is not good for our clients. So I'm always looking to improve that. And if you guys are familiar with college football, and Tim can get into this more, okay, a lot more detail and knowledgeable than me, obviously. But the transfer portal is an adversity that they face every day with their players. You, in essence, can jump in the portal and become a free agent. And I don't want to get into a lot of that stuff right now. I just want to have Tim take the floor. But that is a challenge, to say the least, with organizations keeping players captive and loyal. And the Bison and Tim have done an extraordinary job over the past how many years. And we're just scratching the surface with some of Tim's accomplishments, guys. If you want, please look him up and follow this team and this coach. It's some amazing stuff. But today I asked him specifically to help me, and I'm going to be taking notes, go over some of these. He mentioned core values, and he's mentioned it, and we don't talk a lot, but I try to take as much out of our conversation as I can when he talks. He's an intense guy. He talks fast, and he's always in a hurry. But he's mentioned core values, and it took a while for me to sink in. And I didn't get it right away. I'm looking into it more. I'm trying to create more core values, expectations, and standards that mean something here at Fire Fitness Camp. And today I'm going to be taking some notes, and Tim's going to go through what they do and how they've been so successful with maintaining loyalty, exceptional loyalty in his organization.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, getting right to the portal. Last year I was forced to do some research, like, okay, schools around us or schools that are like us. We had a coaching change, me coming in here, and it was ironic. We only lost 3 starters. Well, other universities right in our neck of the woods, people we compete against. I don't like mentioning them because I don't like negative recruiting. But they were losing upwards of 20 to 40% of their squads. And so it was clear to me that no matter what nuances I was going to bring to the table, our culture, our locker room was in a really good position. And so, number one, when we're battling the portal, obviously, a lot of times it comes down to financial. Is a kid improving his NIL money? And we're doing a good job. So, thank you to our green and gold fund for that. I mean, that's the first thing, and that's just the way it is. But the second piece of this, in order to have a team last year that was 92% kids that were recruited to come to North Dakota State to be great student athletes in Fargo, that chose the community, that chose this program to start their football careers, that's something I'm very proud of. I know there's a Big Ten school that I value a lot. Their number was 82%. And there was a Big 12 school who I value a lot. They were at like 67% of high school kids recruited to their program. So that tells you how much portal recruiting is really going on. We signed 70 high school kids the last 2 years. And so if you're a high school coach and you're listening, we're coming and we're not changing. We're going to build from the bottom up. We want guys to clearly understand our core values, our standards. But the best part about that is we get to remain teachers. We get to remain developers of people, developers of team concept. I think it's really cool to be a Bison and wear the green and yellow. And I know we're going to dive into a lot of this stuff, but if our guys can't see that or can't say that, don't come to North Dakota State is our attitude. Don't be part of our outfit if the people don't matter. Don't be part of our outfit if you're not going to possess a genuine appreciation and respect for the role that everybody has. And so we're trying to combat the portal the best we can with old school foundational things that, hey, we're going with these 105 guys, we're going to start a fight together. And you're not breaking us. You might get us. We've lost 3 times in 2 years total. You might get us, but you're not going to break us. And our guys are going to walk off the field and sprint on the field together. And we're going to be
is one of the reasons, just real quick, why you say don't bother coming here. Okay, you're heading off a problem before it starts, is because these guys might be disruptive in what you want to accommodate and nurture in your organization.
Yeah, shared core values, shared thought process from the parents in the recruiting process is so critical. I'm looking for parents to say things like, Coach, we understand our son's got to earn it. Coach, we understand our kid's going to get coached really hard and he's going to be held to high standards. So we're kind of looking for a police officer and an administrator. We're looking for a businessman and a teacher. We're looking for a small business owner with a secretary at a high school. People that have really done some things. Specifically, number one, they value people. Their kids understand you got to earn stuff in life. Anything worth getting is on the other side of hard. Okay, it's just not worth it to be handed something. And so when we approach the high school recruiting, we're looking for like-minded people that want to get together in a room and try to be the best we can be. I know that sounds really simple, but that takes a great deal of commitment level from everybody in the organization that they're going to compete, improve, tough to their best ability every day. And those are our 3 core values. I know we're going to dive into that. But Hans, I think you hit that spot on. And so when we're recruiting our talent or acquiring talent, we're looking to add people that can add to our culture, not just fit into it. That's number one. So we're looking for the best available. And that's where I think as we get in this conversation, I like this conversation because it links right up with the business world. The business people are complaining right now that 23, 24, 25-year-olds, the first time they get a $10,000 raise somewhere else, they're out of there. Well, they don't understand that it's really important to be part of a team that all values the same things. And those friendships are going to grow over time. You're going to raise your kids together. Do you have people that are going to babysit for you when you want date night? Or are you just a guy that's out there, or a gal? Are you just a guy or a gal that's out there chasing a little bit more money, and you're going to continue to do that? The next thing you do is you look back and you're like, who in the hell is coming to my funeral?
It's getting deep. I mean, but in essence, you're saying, to have a friend, you need to be a friend.
Well, to be a teammate, you need to be a teammate. We talk a lot. We're going to get into it. Friend over teammate. Friends support mediocrity. Friends care about what each other thinks. Friends get in small pockets and groups and like well, we don't have this, or we don't have that. That other club, that other fitness center has this and that. You know, teammates say, hey, quiet, compete and prove tough. They hold each other to the core values. They hold each other to the standards of the outfit. And then relationships are formed because now you're with like-minded people and you're having fun.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. So when you talk about these 3 core values, I think you did touch on them, but I just so everybody grabs them, including myself.
Well, we do. Okay, so 12 years ago, I had a guy by the name of Gus Bradley who went from North Dakota State as the defensive coordinator, a walk-on player, to being the head coach at the Jacksonville Jaguars. I believe he's with the 49ers right now. He was the DC for the Colts. I mean, this guy did phenomenal things. He was the defensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks. Unbelievable leader from the standpoint, just people just gravitate towards him. And like, I trust this guy. I'm going to do what he asked me to do, right? Like, he just captivates people. And he said, hey, you got to come up with a philosophy, and it's got to be 23 words or less. So when I look back on where I all started back in 12, you know, my philosophy would have been, hey, compete and improve consistently with a foxhole mentality to protect the team and what the program stands for. Not bad. A little bit wordy. You know, how am I going to get this across to recruits? I'm going to have to break it down and segment it. Well, 2017 comes along, and I'm going to be honest with you. I got killed for this job. I got interviewed, and the guy that was in-house absolutely just beat me up on it. It was a humbling experience. I didn't get the job. I haven't had to interview very much in my career outside of going to Iowa to coach the O-line, where I've never coached the offensive line in my career. And I'm really proud of that because I was around the 2 highest paid players at their position in the NFL. So I coached Tristan Wirfs, who's one of the top left tackles in the league. And I also coached Tyler Linderbaum, who's the center for Baltimore. But at that time, I kind of just say, maybe my message isn't getting across. Maybe I'm not clear and concise enough. And so then I broke that thing down, and it was really, you know, like, there's a lot of information and knowledge when you read books, and that's really important. I've read more books in the last 10 years than I did in my previous 35 years of my life. And it talked about simplifying leadership. You know, what are your core beliefs? Who are you on a daily basis? So I took the philosophy that I had, and our 3 core values in our program, these are non-negotiable things for social, academic, and athletics with all of our football players. And then that extends to our student managers, our recruiting department. You know, we have 170 people in our outfit. You know, each and every day, players and support, coaches, so forth and so on. So each of our people in our program are going to represent a competitive spirit. Compete is number 1. It's just a non-negotiable thing in our program. And what I have found, and Hans, you know me good enough, and you and I mean, we've been through battles together. I mean, what I still value up there with college football games. Like, when I pitched for the Scandinavia Vikings, it was game on. It meant everything to me. Okay, so competitive people, I found, have a great sense of pride in how they do their work. And pride is one of those things that it's not a core value, but I touch on. Man, take some pride in your shit. Okay, so being competitive, we look for ultra competitive people. We want to be surrounded around competitors. People that are competing every day. Can I get my drill set up faster? You know, if I'm an athletic trainer, can I get the water to the groups better? Can we be more efficient? And so that spans across our whole program. I'm not sure that it's 1, 2, or 3 if I ranked them, but a competitive spirit, Hans, and you know me good enough. Like, I don't even think going out for beers and wings is that fun unless there's a dart game or we're going to play some pool. Yeah, like, that's the only time that I'm really 100% in complete joy is when I'm.
How do you we're at number 1, but I got to ask because I really want to know when you're recruiting, you know, you see stats, you see film. How do you get to the real competitors?
Hey, Johnny, what the heck happened in that wrestling match the other night? You got beat 16-4. Hey, Coach, I just started wrestling this year and I love this stuff. Coach, I'm getting better. By the end of the year, I'm going to be in the hunt for a regional championship. That would be 1. 2, hey, Billy, you threw the shot 52 feet last year. How in the heck are you throwing it 58? Coach, I got a competitive spirit. I went to a couple camps. My coach and me are working well together right now. I can't wait to where I can throw 58 or 59 and a half next week. There's little signs. You know, is a kid sitting on his ass and playing one sport because his parents think he's going D1? Or is he feeling that fire of competitive spirit? He's playing basketball, and then he runs track. We got people in the state of North Dakota that play 4 high school sports. From the time they're in 7th grade on, they're playing varsity.
You like that as a recruiter.
Huge. Now, we take some guys that are 1 or 2 sport guys from time to time, our best players. The Carson Wentz's were competing in 4 or 5 sports. Easton Stick was a great 3-sport athlete. Most of our guys we're trying to find are competitive in multiple sports. And on top of it, they're inspiring leaders. Captains. We tried 2 years ago, out of the 25 kids roughly that we signed in the class, 17 of them were captains.
Wow.
That competitive spirit. You can't be a captain without being competitive. It just don't work. You know, so that I think, you know, I want the audience to know this. I would also add spiritual if I was more comfortable about talking that in recruiting or publicly. So we're always talking socially. Are you competing? Are you trying to be better than your best? Academically, are you competing on an individual, a unit, and a team basis? You know, our team GPA this semester was 3.4. We won the national championship in 2011. We were 2.79. Today, this outfit, which is a dynasty and all those things, but right now we're 0-0 and we got our ass kicked. We got to be hungry. We got to eat that. We're a 3.4 GPA, team GPA.
So this first core value branches off quite a bit.
Yeah, we're always talking about those 3 areas. I had a talk with a young man about a month ago, and he wasn't doing well in English. Okay, brought him in. It was a 30-second meeting. Are you competing? Are you tough as hell? And are you improving in English? No, no, and no. I said, I don't want to see you next week. This stuff's got to start turning the corner. Well, he gets a couple assignments in. He does a bonus assignment. Now he's at 72% rather than 50%. Well, then he finishes the damn thing at 85%. Well, like, why are we waiting? So that competitive spirit also incorporates probably procrastination. Like, if you're really a competitor, are you going to procrastinate and wait to get in shape, or are you getting on it?
Good point. He did it a little nudge, but everybody needs a nudge once in a while too to get back on track. And that might be the one. You did it right there. You might have to have that conversation again.
No, and we don't have very many cases like that anymore. But I'll give you another example. We got a guy that makes a decision socially at a party, a really bad decision. I'm not going to talk about it. He comes in and said, I said, there ain't no discussion. You're not improving. You're not competing. You're not mentally tough in a social atmosphere with 190 people at this party. You're a goner. Not negotiable. That wasn't one that was fixable. That was a decision for our outfit.
Too much damage.
Too much damage. Can't overcome it. We talk about this all the time. And it's going to pop up here. Disrespect a female or commit a felony on our football team. It's a wrap. We're just not going to do it. But our second core value is probably the most important thing that we value the most. I talk about this in recruiting a lot. We'll have an audience of 250 on Friday. 48 prospects and their families, their girlfriends. I mean, all sorts of people in there. And I'm going to hit on this. You know, we recruit all these guys like they're going to be the next superstar, but half of them never capture a major role. Their role might be to be on the scout team for 4 years. We just out-recruit them. It's all competitive. The portal, you just out-recruit them. You continue to work at it. And I bring that up because I tell them they will have a relationship. They will be a valued member of the team if they simply improve every day. Okay, so we're looking for internally motivated people. I love doing motivational talks with our team. That's one of my favorite parts of being a head coach. But if we can't incrementally improve every day, we will falter. And, you know, it's kind of like I think Socrates said, you know, you just don't stay the same. You know, and so improvement for us and being improvement based and being improvement driven is probably the most important thing that we value in our program, because the reality is we've won a lot of games over the last 20 years. when we push it through and we win a national title, it's because that team made their mind up they were going to improve all year. And we were better on week 16 than we were on 1 or 5 or 8. And so that's really, really critical. It's the simple expectation that everybody can execute. But I think it takes being coachable. I think you have to show up and like look at your coach or your teacher or your boss. Coach me, coach. I want to be great. I'm sitting here right in front of you. Well, our people in our organization respond to that. They respond to that big time. We're going to value guys that are inspiring, improvement-oriented people. And I want everybody in this outfit better one year to the next, one day to the next, and it's got to be constant. We will have
that. Well, staying the same. If you're staying the same, you're not improving. You're going backwards.
Yeah, there's no comment. 1,000% accurate.
So number 2 is improve.
Number 2 is improve, and the one thing that I want to add to that, and I want people to think about this. You know what? Gosh, my cousins are back there and they're working in the factory. Well, like that guy wants to move up the ladder too, right? I'll tell you how you start, how you capture roles, how you move forward in this life. Consistent improvement leads to credibility and trust. That's when your son will play, sir. Okay, can you take our individual drill work and apply it to a group setting and then carry it over to the first scrimmage that we have with the team? Okay, that's spring ball. Then can we get to fall camp and can we do that again? Okay, so consistent improvement leads to credibility and trust. That's when you get a promotion. Okay, that's when you're putting change in your pocket. That's when you're putting equity in who you are on a daily basis. Well, if you're an up and down guy, how can the guy give you the promotion to be a leader?
And trust, like you said, the word trust. People are like, how is consistent improvement going to lead to trust? Because you got to know where that guy's going. I look at our fitness coaches, and I see some awesome talent, but then I don't know if I don't know I can count on you. Then I can't trust you. And that's a scary deal. And we see a lot of variables there. So I just love this.
So if you look at our operation, right, I don't look at it like I'm at the top of this. I get to work with a bunch of great leaders. We have 10 full-time coaches who all are really super competitive. They're ultra competitive. They are not going to say, Coach Polasek, it's time for us to play the third nickel on defense until they trust that guy's going to make that player is going to make him look really good.
Well, they're vouching for him.
That's right. When you say, Coach, we got to send this guy 25 times a game at least.
Their name's on it.
He's starting to carve a rollout. Their product. Here's how I feel about coaching, and I've never really said this publicly. What we teach is on stage every Saturday. That's why we get so much criticism. That's why we get so much praise. But it's tied to the students. It's tied to the athlete. The man in the arena's got to go execute. But all that tutelage during the week comes back to, well, Coach P's terrible. He's a terrible coach. I mean, the offense was brutal, right? It all falls and then goes top down. So when we talk about credibility and trust, that's how you get on the football field because your position coach, the leadership in that group, the seniors support you. They're ready to see you take that next step, but it's all about cultivating a role and then growing that role through improvement.
Awesome. So we got compete and a bunch of different sidebar and aspects to what it all entails to compete. We have improve.
And then tough. Now, tough, I won't spend too much time on, if you ask me what were your 3 team goals, last year or this year, they stayed the same. Lead the country in physicality. Nobody is tougher than a bison. When you hit someone, they feel feared, hated, and respected every time we play somebody. Right? I know there's sidebars to all this stuff. But we want to lead the country.
They're all good. What was that? Fear, hated, and
respected. They're going to know your number and they're going to look up your name afterwards because you hit them so damn hard.
Mm-hmm.
I think that in that own way, physical toughness can be applied to sales or business. Obviously, you don't get the chance to go out there and light somebody up or fit your pads or your hands on somebody and dominate them. But physical toughness is always our number one goal. But
I just want to interject something super quick on this. I just heard this the first time, 50-year-old guy here. always thinking you got to get your mind right before everything else falls into place. And that's traditional thinking. Okay. I just heard a doctor talk about, he's been teaching that for 40 years and he disagrees now. He said, you get your body right, you get your physicality right, and your mind will actually follow. And the way, I mean, he said a lot more science to do with that, but that really opened my eyes. And I agree with him 1,000%.
That's interesting. You got to physically get your ass out of bed and jump out of bed and go.
And if you're working out like you guys, I mean, you're creating your body into a machine. What is your mind going to be right? Isn't it less capable of straying? Isn't it less capable of procrastination, of being lazy and depressed when you're rock hard? I just looking at it at a whole different viewpoint, different lens now after that.
Yeah, there's the opposite, right? Like let the mind rule and not the body. Well, if you flip that
But
around,
the mind wanders.
yes, and if you condition your body, you can do unbelievable things. There's no limits. Another great book, right? I mean, it's a little bit out there. It's aggressive, but gosh, the Navy SEAL, the Marine that wrote the book,
Jocko.
Yes, Jocko's stuff can't hurt me. You can't hurt me.
David Goggins.
David Goggins. I mean, it's unbelievable, right? Like we only use 30% of our capacity or whatever. So,
Yep.
but the physical toughness part, applies to football. But actually, when in the recruiting sense, again, I'm always talking because this sells to the parents too. But toughness isn't a light switch, and that's directly from the book called The Program. But it's not a light switch. You can't turn it on and off. You're either a tough guy or a tough woman, a tough leader, or you're not. And so mental toughness to me is making the big time long term decision for the name on the back of your jersey and the one that's on the front. At 12 o'clock and that party starts getting loud, are you going to leave? And we all know what that looks like. Two guys start pushing. Well, here comes 10 other guys running over there. They start pushing and shoving. All of a sudden, guys are going to grab a bag or something. Like, get the hell out. And it does not mean you're weak. It means you're the toughest guy in the building. And so making mentally tough decisions for the betterment of your name and for the program is what we're really talking about. But we talk about toughness on a scale of 1 to 0. You're either a 1 or you're a 0. That's it. Now, there's variables in physical striking and physical toughness in football. There's no doubt about that. But I'm really talking about the mental toughness. Are you going to put John Madden down at 10 o'clock and finish your paper? Or are you going to play Madden and sit on your phone till 12 and then you get an F? Well, are we competing? Are we improving? Are we tough in that academic world? And mental toughness for us is so critical. We talk a lot about dragging people into the dark, deep, murky swamp, into the deep end of the pool and try to drown people because we love it. We live there.
You feel comfortable there.
Yeah, this loss, and I hate to go down this road, but this loss that
the one, guys, out of 13, he wants to talk about the one.
It happened in the fourth quarter. It happened in the deep end of the murky swamp. Somewhere in there, we didn't make a play or two. Somewhere in there, the leadership, the coaches on the staff didn't help our players enough. It's going to drive us mad for 300 days until we get to fall camp next year. It's fascinating stuff. But those are our 3 core values.
Well, onto the tough, just an add onto everything that you said was so perfect. But these cold plunges, they're nothing to do with physicality. It's just who's going to be tough and sit there. Yes, well, I don't like cold water. I don't like cold water. Who the fuck likes cold water?
Nobody.
I mean, but you're there and you make it comfortable. That's some switch going on right here.
I talk to people about the 8-minute mark in a sauna at 190. You got into the sauna. I mean, the first 8 minutes, like everybody can do that. Read 2 more chapters in there at the 8-minute mark, and then find out if you can read 3, because now you're starting to gain the benefits of the sauna.
You're at you take the steam, the old school, the 200 degree saunas.
Yeah, and I have the ability to have dry heat and the steam, but I love the steam because of my propensity to get colds. And we put essential oils in our water, And that's just unbelievable during cold season.
I'm all for it.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things. Alternating that with cold shower.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That'll wake up the immune system real quick, too.
Yeah, the one thing I probably missed on too. So everybody in our program abides non-negotiable core values. They abide by compete and prove tough. But the other element that we do, and I kind of wanted to share this in case there's some leaders on the call or that tune into this, is we also challenge everybody. Everybody in our outfit has to come up with their own 3 core values, and there's an exercise we use to get to that. It's directly from the book called The Program again. But those 3 core values that every individual has, we put that in their lockers, and we put that right underneath a mirror that they have to look into. And all I simply ask them to do is be accountable for who they say they are. Faith, energy, discipline. Well, you said you were those 3 things, and I've got 3 lates to the strength and conditioning room, which we don't have a lot of. But they just can't find a way to be 10 minutes early. They're always right on
Where's
time.
the discipline?
Exactly
You told me.
right. Yes. So what they say, whatever they put in their lockers, whatever they put in this book that I actually hand to the president, I hand to the boosters, whoever's on airplane flights with us for games, they get this book of our whole organization. And they're fascinated by how much it matters to me. But
With all the
core values, we
put together into one volume?
Yes, they're pictures, and then these are the 3 core values. And actually, I got to a point, I probably did a little better with it last fall than I did this fall. But I got to the point where I'd go up to an equipment student. Let's take Emma for an example. And I memorized hers, it was balance, integrity, and loyalty or something to that effect. And I went up to her one day and said, what were the core values that you put into my book? And she couldn't remember them. For the next 180 days, Coach, I am balance, integrity, and loyalty. Like, it meant so much to her that I brought it up, and that she really, hey, what I'm talking about to the guys on the call is when you get on a knee to ask somebody to marry you, 3 core values, you better do that for your wife every day or your marriage is going to be a problem. Honey, I am going to have great balance. We're going to have fun, and I'm tough. I'm going to protect you for life. I mean, that's how serious I am about individual core values and who you are, and how do you be true to your teammates and yourself daily. It all starts.
I mean, you got to be grounded to something. Otherwise, we're just spinning our wheels. We're a hamster on a wheel.
I'm fascinated by it.
I am too.
I'm
glad I get to learn about this more.
But this is what changed me from philosophy to these core values.
The program.
Yep. Lessons from elite military units. And they actually go into college programs for weeks, and then they instill discipline and teach the leadership, and you got to hire them now. It's a dollar.
Oh, really?
Oh, they're fascinating people. Yep. Fascinating leaders.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they have a whole program for all sorts of different teams, college teams. They do work with pro teams. They're fascinating. But like I said before, the core values, they're kind of cute. They're everything to me. But they got to be held up by something. Okay, and we call those standards. Standards are a set level of acceptable behavior. They're easily understood, they're defined, they're measurable, they're actionable. I share this with families all the time. My wife can do these things for our program. Anybody can do these things, right? But doing the things that are simple it's easy not to do them. And there's another good lesson from the book, Slight Edge. And so we talk about our players holding each other to the standards of the program. Number 1 is urgency. I mean, we all have to show up and understand the sun's going to come up and it's going to go down. Have a no timeline mindset, explode into the day, and value your opportunities to compete and prove tough. The second one for us, and you can circle back on any of these that you want. The second one we have is, I just would call it big body language, but we talk about chest up, chin up mentality, add something to the environment that you're in, have a presence about yourself. What do you want that perception to be? Okay, constantly, I'm always talking like, guys, recenter yourself in a meeting that's an hour long. Recenter yourself, sit up, reset your feet, re-engage. And so body language for us is so critical. We want everybody to be adders, not subtractors. Don't be an energy vampire. Be a guy that's adding and inspiring people for greatness. I do think I do think be a great teammate over a friend, and we talked about that earlier. But we do not need guys getting in small pockets and crying about what we don't have. We need just a bunch of guys holding each other high to the standards, which that's what teammates do. And that's one that's really important. Our fourth standard is pretty simple. Represent the outfit, the program, the business in a first-class manner. Be a bison 24/7. I tell people all the time, like, what the negative to being a bison is you're always a bison. You're never off of it. Like, you're not the fortunate 90% of the world that can go to a restaurant and act like an asshole and not engage in meaningful conversations. They're going to know who you are. You got to be respectful.
That's the bad news.
That's the bad news. And so we talk a lot about possessing a genuine appreciation for the role that everybody has in an outfit. Do everything in your power to help them to grow their role. Right? For some, that's easy. For others, listen, I've been around 5-year walk-ons that never get a chance to play. And those kids mean as much to me as the guy that gets drafted in the first round. And so that's really important. I think right along with that body language thing, like, I think it's kind of fun to go to the mall and look at all the losers on their phones, running into people.
Could learn a lot.
They refuse to engage in meaningful conversations with unbelievable people that have a lot to offer. Like, I just don't, I choose my gas station that I go to every morning based on the employee that works there.
Absolutely.
If they're not going to lift me up and inspire me and add something to my day, I do not have time for it. And I'm as humble as they get. Like, we've been humbled again. We've been humbled before. It's just like we get to pick and choose how we want to go about our day.
Maybe it's because we need the help. We need motivation and positivity rubbing off on us just as much. I need that guy at the gas station to maybe fire me up a little bit. I don't need when I ask, it's just common courtesy, how you doing? And they tell me they're tired. I don't think it's funny.
No.
And they tell me that, oh, good, great news. I get to leave in 15 minutes. Was it really that bad? Was your day that bad here? I
go do something else.
Exactly.
Okay, then
our lifestyle.
Our fifth standard is finish everything. Don't just punch the target, punch through it. And it was interesting. I had the chance to visit the Patriots in 2019. So this was them coming off a bunch of Super Bowls all over their building. And this is cool. All over their building, they had this sign that I just kept reading. It was strain for the lead. Well, you guys are in the league. You got 5 Super Bowl championship rings, trophies. I mean, they had more stuff around there, right? Wins,
those training,
MVPs, Hall of Famers. And so I finally asked the O-line coach, I said, what is this all about? He said, that way you never get into it. You're up 20. Nope, you're straining to do better. You're straining for the lead. You're down 10. He goes, Tom Brady's going to pull us out of it. We believe that. And look at how many 2-minute drives and how many game-winning drives that guy had. I think that was instilled through this thing. Like, we're straining for the lead. Life is all about going through, to me, after being a head coach for 2 years, here's what I've learned. It's a series of firsts. If you're not improvement driven, you're probably going to fail more often than you win. Okay, and then the other thing I would say is, what if we all had the attitude that we're straining for the lead, we're straining to get better? Man, I'm 12% body fat, now I'm down to 10. Well, good, now get to 8. If your attitude was that you're straining for the lead and you're kind of always behind, if you find some moments to celebrate the small wins, but if your attitude stays, we're straining for the lead and we got to finish things, I think you're going to find more success with that. And so that's a really critical part of our outfit. So those are really 8 things, Hans. Core values: compete, improve, tough. 5 standards. Hey, show up with urgency. Body language. Be a teammate versus a friend. Represent the program in a first-class manner. And finish things. If you learn how to finish tasks, discipline equals freedom. Like, I learned this. And I only get to mow the lawn for 1 month. And I want the viewers to know that about my wife. She's tough as nails. I get to mow the lawn, and I love it, to be honest with you. A little bit in June, a lot of July, but that's it because I'm working 100 hours a week when it hits August. August through January 6th, we want
Right.
100-hour work weeks.
Yep.
I want that.
You
I
get
get
to
sick.
move on.
I get sick every day, no matter what the last game is. I get sick the next day. I get a cold. I get the flu. Well, what the hell is going on for the 6 months that we were on the gas and no breaks? It's just funny how the body works too.
Yep. That's interesting. One more time as far as if you had to describe teammate versus a friend.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I've ended up talking to a lot of corporations. When they have me come in, they often ask me to expand upon that. I guess here's what I'm visualizing. I was a student teacher for one semester. I finished out my degree, and I happened to be in the teacher lounge having lunch, right? That's what people do. I guess you have lunch. I don't even do just a granola bar, right?
Lunch is for wimps.
But what I found fascinating was all those people loved what they were doing. You know, teachers are America's teachers. Right? But holy smokes, over a course of 2-3 weeks, the amount of complaints that I started to, and I'm like, this middle school that I'm working at is fascinating. It's first class. Because I had seen some other schools in my observations and stuff, but they had no idea what the outside world. And
Right.
just constantly, I could tell it was a group of friends that were comfortable talking to each other about what they didn't have, how
Mhm.
little they were paid. The schedule sucks. You know, man, I wish we had a longer break. I wish our free periods were another 10 minutes longer. I wish we started school at 8:20 instead of 8:05. So those friends were really supportive of all this complaining, negativity, leaning into it. It supports mediocrity. Friends care what each other thinks, okay, about each other, right? Like, man, that person, I hope they like me. Man, I really want this person to respect me and like me. I need this friendship. Okay, we're a teammate. Johnny,
Well, popularity.
yes, Johnny, you should be playing. You are more talented than Jeff. But Coach P said compete and tough were important to him. You miss half of practice because you're getting your ankles retaped. You didn't compete very hard in the one-on-one drills that mattered to Coach. He told us it was going to matter. You were 1 for 6. You know, they hold each other to the core values and the standards of the program, period.
Michael Jordan, from what I understand, wasn't a very popular player amongst his peers. Just watching the documentary, finding that out. But, oh, my God, was he respected as a teammate.
So 2 Jordan things that I value. Number one, what you just said, because of the emotion that poured out of him. He was this close to being apologetic about saying, you're either competing with me and working to my standard, or I'm going to beat you down. And we're going to move on, right? That segment you're talking about, and he gets teary-eyed and he says, I need a break. I think he was that close to apologizing about it, and at 50 years old refused to. And good for him. He stayed true to who he was.
Yep.
I think about they did a special on him recently, and the one guy wanted to see him shoot 1 free throw, and he hadn't shot a free throw in like 7 or 8 years. And he said his hands were shaking because he didn't want to misrepresent himself.
Uh-huh.
So he threw it up there and it went in, and that was one of those moments where he actually was praying to God it would go in because he didn't want to disappoint that fan.
Yeah.
Think about that.
People have no idea. Who cares? They have no idea the severity of what that shot really meant to him, and the picture that paints to him and his pride. And, pride hasn't come up really directly in here, but I know the Bison pride is got to be one of the ultimates. But that could be a little cliche.
No, Bison pride's a big deal. It has been since '65, and that's kind of like an all-encompassing thing. But if you ask 300 Bison former players, they would give you 300 different definitions. If you ask what Bison pride is, it's a relentless pursuit of excellence amongst a brotherhood like no other. And that's kind of what I keep wanting to come back to that. What if we all found organizations to work for where it was 30 years of supporting each other, being proud to be part of that organization, taking pride in what the core values of the outfit have in place, really leaning into the relationships. I think that's worth money. We're talking about the portal again. Okay, like someday, I always tell people, someday my wife is going to get sick. Like, who's going to be here to comfort me or to take me out for a round of golf? I just would be shocked if it's not my former teammates, former coaches I've worked with. Not that they worked under me, but we're going to have some people, we're going to have some relationships to lean into. You know, the story time and having a beer for an hour or two while your wife is laying there is going to be ultimately really critical to probably how I live the rest of my life. I know I'm getting deep here, but man, I think we got to be
Great.
mindful. We got to be mindful of how much relationships and working together and being part of a team.
People don't get deep enough. That's
No,
the
I'm really
problem.
annoyed. I'm really annoyed right now that I get all these answers, and I'm not from you. I appreciate them. I get all these questions about the portal. Okay, and I get them a lot from older people that are great Bison fans. You know what I tell them? I said, I want to talk first about how we're raising our kids and our grandkids, because we're actually raising them to be portal guys and girls. They got to play in the best club sport because that's what's best for Melissa. That positions her to be the best. Well, what about those 5 neighbors that you have that you're going to wear the orange and black with, that are going to be Thunderbirds? And you're going to have to go do battle, okay, against these high school teams. And meanwhile, you haven't trained or participated in anything. The value of being part of a team and having a sense of community still matters.
Well, when you're saying we're talking about getting deep, when then you're talking about the portal and people are they're what there really are is these conversations. I see shallow thinking, and you know the definition of a shallow person, right? They only see the car, they only see the clothes, they see the hair, the makeup, whatever else that may be. That's a shallow thinking person, and we're talking about being deep. It all makes sense.
There's layers. Like this society right now, give it to me now. I want quick, fast responses. Are going to have huge failures at some point, and they haven't gone through hard. They haven't gone through adversity. You know what a bison does? We run straight into a storm. So we can get through the storm faster and we get moving on. It's the only animal that does it. It's the only animal that does it.
I know.
That runs into the damn storm.
Well, you are sort of lucky. You do have the best, by far the best
mascot.
The best mascot. The toughest animal. You know, I'm partial to bison, though. I like that stuff.
I do too.
I mean, that is quite the animal. You know, I have a hard time not texting you some of these cool videos and pictures. I see a bison with their, you know, when they're rejuvenating their furs, falling off, they're shedding, they're getting through those seasons. Because sometimes on the plains, it's hot as hell, and then it's freezing cold, and they're running through those storms, and they look mean as hell, man.
It's fun. My biggest concern, I'm a football coach, but holy smokes, are we exposed a lot when you incorporate recruiting, winning, the fans. Like, we're touching a lot of different groups of people. You know, with all this really quick, you know, graduate and get the big job. And then, oh, by the way, everybody graduates and they think they fast forward to retirement. You have to work 30 years and your household's got to bring in 150 to get a lake cabin, you know, over here in Detroit Lakes or on the chain of lakes in Wapaka or the Eagle River chain. Like, that just doesn't happen unless you're born on third base a little bit. And I'm not mad about that. You know, if your parents did really well, whatever. But how are you going to take advantage of it? But some of this short term, these little satisfactory bursts of what seems in the time to be so impactful and so successful, I've seen it run out for a lot of guys. The portal's been around for 5 years already. And majority of people come back to me and say, Coach, I wish I would have never left my friends and my teammates. They're still talking about it.
Yeah.
They're not talking about the 200,000 they got over the 50 the other school was offering. Because
I think the big question that I want to ask more with our employees and our staff, our owners, what is important to you? What is most important to you? And really, I think you find that the income or just money on the surface is not the first one on the list.
When we talked last night in the preparation for this, I wasn't going to bring this up at all, but I'm not sure that people know I turned down some opportunities this offseason because I want to fight back a little bit against college football right now. Jill and I are extremely happy we love everybody and what this community represents, what the region represents, blue collar, hardworking. The locker room is down there again. It's mostly, Bison with some recruited portal guys, but we lost 6 starters. And I kind of made a stance to say, and if you guys look it up, we've left some major money on the table. But I didn't think they were regional fits for me. I didn't think they were cultural fits, and they most certainly weren't how I see building a football team from the bottom up. And working with a freshman to become a redshirt freshman, and then a freshman becomes a sophomore, then guess what? We get to enjoy him because we've trained and coached him. He is a Bison now. Now
Right.
he gets to go express himself on some opponents. And the reason I bring that up is because I think we need to have more of that going on. Be in the profession, not the business. When you're in a profession that you care about, you're now taking advantage of the opportunities to impact others and to be part of something bigger than just a salary or yourself.
Be in the profession, not the business.
Yeah, the business side is all short-term decisions to make more money. Like, you guys might think you need those extra set of ropes. No, we don't. No, we don't. Let's get creative. Let's go outside and do something. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just...
Absolutely. Well, and I related back into businesses. If you really love your profession, you treat people better, you're more hospitable, and you invest that a lot of that money. See, I see some of these owners, they're not investing in themselves. They're not investing in their profession. They're doing the nickels and dimes. We've all seen the gas stations that don't have any toilet paper. Okay. And these guys are pinching pennies to the ultimate extreme. They are looking at their P&L only all day long, the profit and loss statement, and say, we can't afford more toilet paper. That's probably a bad example, but you get it. It paints the picture. Where if you invest in your profession, now you're Quick Trip. Now you're what's the biggest one in Florida, Texas? You're
Bucky's.
Bucky's. Now you're Bucky's. You make a statement. And you do end up turning the business. Your business is thriving. Your P&L is on fire because you took pride in the profession first. I always say this: money is a byproduct of your success. Okay? The biggest mistake I made, and if my regular listeners know this, at the age of 19, I made a big mistake. I said, what can I go do to make money versus what do I love to do? Because if I would have known that if I would have followed my path of what I love to do, because what happens if you love to do, I use the ping pong analogy, it's probably bad. Let's say you're a drummer in a band and you love drumming, you're probably going to be really freaking good at it. What happens when you're really freaking good at something in life? You get paid to do it. The money follows. So
And relationships. And relationships.
Building
Because
bridges.
like-minded people, we're into this stuff because it's our passion, it's our calling. Okay, now we've got people to bounce things off of. Now
Good point.
We're improving. Now we're
You have all these
forward.
bridges. You have bridges that you can access.
The one thing I've learned out here, I've gotten really close with. I don't know if the people on the call understand. Okay, Shield Sporting Good, right? Appleton, they're all over the place. Well, that originated in North Dakota as a hardware store, Shield's hardware store.
Okay.
So the owner, right? I mean, I got to play golf with him last summer. He's right here in Fargo. Steve Shield. There's a reason why Shields is thriving. They have the best employee service in America, and it's not even it's not even debatable. I've never been into any Shields where it was inconsistent or where there was a jerk working. Like, it's clear cut, right? Like, our employees are going to have stock in this, and you're going to treat people a certain way, or otherwise you got to move on. You're not working.
You nailed it. I mean, with the employees, every single employee asks if you need anything, if they can help you, and they'll walk your ass right there.
It's an unbelievable outfit. Unbelievable.
And they look like they're happy doing it, though. That's the thing. And I do want to touch on Quick Trip really quick, because people always say this. Oh, well, they say this to me a lot. Okay, well, you've been lucky.
You're from Wisconsin. You love Quick Trip.
Yeah, exactly. I'm from Wisconsin. I love quick trips. I think it's happening into Minnesota a little bit, but they refuse to go to Illinois. But Quick Trip has wonderful employees, and people ask this question, and I get asked the same thing sometimes. Is, you've been lucky. Where do you get these people? You've been lucky to find these people. And the reality is, when you have a good business, the employees find you. You don't go find them necessarily. The Quick Trip isn't going out and finding people. They have created a wholesome environment, awesome training, their core values. They have dialogue that people are proud to say, and an awesome employment package. And they take care of their people. You don't have to go trying to find too many people that way. So,
Yeah, your success ends up speaking for itself. Your product. Well, that's one.
And you're attractive. You're attractive that way. You're an
I'm
attractive.
really proud of is how our kids, our players, if you look up some of our like press conferences and stuff, our players, and we do some training, but they are humble young people that are going to go dominate this world. And they always give credit to their teammates. They always look the people in the eyes that are asking the questions. And it's kind of interesting to me, like with the little training that we do for that, how is this happening? It happens in recruiting. We're talking about embrace genuine conversations. Better people make better bison.
Love that. Couldn't agree more, I'm sure. Kind of just closing up at this point, I would like to ask you, what would be your biggest piece of advice to a parent, okay, that has a student athlete that maybe they have some hopes and dreams for them, okay? And maybe there is a future that could be foretaken. So what would your biggest piece of advice be raising them from the point of high school to college?
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the high school kid that's roughly a sophomore. Because that recruiting range, if they're really good, we're talking about the Big Ten, and they need to be that good as sophomores. That's just the way it is. Okay. Juniors, you might start talking about the Wyomings of the world, the NDSUs. That's how it works. My number one piece of advice, and I'll stand on this, and I talk about this with them, is don't get caught up in comparisons. Okay, and the reason I bring that up is I was the first guy ever to offer Joe Alt. Joe Alt was the 6th pick overall in the draft. He plays for the Chargers. He was awful as a sophomore, 6'4.5", 219 or something. But you could see where he's going, number one, because his dad played for the Chiefs for 16 years. His hands were humongous, and he had like 19-inch shoes, right? We offered him at Iowa knowing that his improvement, his growth potential, and all those things were going to follow. But I must have had 20 or 30 messages from coaches and parents from that area. My son is much better. My response was the same. Yeah, he is right now. But now where this guy's going. And so it's really important that parents don't get caught up in comparisons. Okay, that they stay in their own lane and they focus on who's recruiting them. I always do this. Like, if you're getting recruited, don't be looking around NDSU looking for Michigan. If Michigan hasn't been to your school yet, or they haven't called you, they're not recruiting you, and they're not going to. So really focus on what's in front of you, stay in your own lane, focus on your son or your daughter, and don't get caught up in comparisons, because you never know. The head coach at that certain school might have a relationship with the girl's uncle. The uncle was a great player at the school, and the girl hasn't had her growth spurt yet. There's all sorts of those little examples of why we end up doing things that we do. We might have more knowledge on a situation than the general public. So my number one piece of advice is to pay attention to what's in front of you and don't get caught up in comparisons. Comparisons hold you back. They hold you back. You're not improving. You're not moving forward. All you're doing is getting caught up like those friends, talking about stuff that don't matter. And that's my number one piece of advice. The younger generation, I want the parents to hear me on this. Play everything. Allow your kid to show you what they're passionate about. Just because you get hotel rooms and there's referees and there's a bracket and there's a tournament and you get to have fun at a hotel doesn't mean that 4 kids that have quit the football team, okay, here at North Dakota State or when I was at Wyoming, said my dad wanted it more for me than I did. Coach, I've never loved this stuff. And they ended up being Division I still, but they never really enjoyed it, but they were going to the tournaments and they were going to the hotels every weekend. Let your kids show you how much they love it.
That's a great piece of advice.
I want to go to the ballpark. Dad, can me, Johnny, and Ricky, can we get together? Take us to the park. We want to go play. We want to go practice.
And support that, right?
Support it.
Support
The
their
more
lead.
you're keeping options open. The more that they do when they're young and they're figuring out some things on their own, the better they're going to be. And then their passions might meet your passions for them. And then here we go. But it's a double-edged sword. It's a double-edged sword right now for parents with all this tournament stuff going on and travel teams and whether you should or you shouldn't. I've had a lot of parents ask me about that, and I always come back to make sure you're enjoying your life too. And your kids will show you what they're passionate about, and then support them.
Makes sense. Just let it happen organically and support them.
Well, yeah, you got to be 6'4", 250 pounds to play O-line here when you're a junior. To be, a wide receiver, you have to run 4.6, not 4.8, getting to 4.6. We won 4.6 going on 4.48. You get caught up in all this stuff, but there's minimals. I always share this with people because I have real knowledge on it. 130 people try out for the hockey team at Wayzata High School in Minnesota. Unbelievable hockey program. Before that tryout, there's 130 kids that are all going to the NHL. Mm-hmm. 25 are going to make the team. And their high school career is over.
Yep. Unreal.
Just stay positive, support your kids, but make sure they're showing you that they love this stuff.
I do have to circle back to when you were a keynote speaker for us at the Fireball. And because we really, truly took away from this, and we still use it today, it just in our executive team, I guess I could say, was be where your ass is at. And this is aside to all this, okay, of what we're talking about, but just be present. And we are having a hard time with a lot of people that we run across that are conducting their day-to-day operations, that they are not where their ass is at. Mentally, they're somewhere else. I just wanted to throw that out there. So we're still using that. We appreciate that.
Well, it's still a big deal with us. It's just not one of those 8 things that I talk about a lot. But when you talk about urgency, right? Show up with a purpose is right there when we talk about it. Have a mentality that, hey, I can't wait. The boss puts it on the schedule. He deems it important. I can't wait to do it. And I'm going to be present, and I'm going to eliminate distractions, and I'm going to do the best I can with it. But eliminating distractions, Hans, eliminating distractions is the key. When we talk about our team goals, that was team goal number 2 was eliminate distractions 2 hours and 50 minutes before game time. No more outside contact with the outside world. No more Snapchat. No more social media. You are totally locked into the task at hand, which is the game.
I love that.
EDN. So
make it easy on yourself.
We go around and we start yelling EDN. No more thinking about the problems at home. You're invested in this workout. Give us everything you got. Okay, I'm showing up at work at 8 o'clock. Everything else in the past, I got a 12-hour workday. I got to eliminate distractions now.
Absolutely.
Pretty cool.
Very cool.
I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, Tim, I appreciate it more than you know. I know the audience does too. Guys, if you got something out of this, please share it. And I think you're going to take more than one thing out of this, definitely. But don't be afraid to circle back to it. And Tim, we'll talk to you soon, my friend.
Yeah, hey, I wish you the best. You're killing it, man. I watch more and I pay more attention than you think. It's just I don't always have the time to catch up with as many people as I
God. I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
You bet. Thank you.
All right. Talk soon.